"Master, why do words hold so much power?" asked one of the young disciples, a thoughtful frown creasing his brow. He and the other disciples sat cross-legged in a circle under the shade of a large, ancient tree. The afternoon sun filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the ground around them. The master, an elderly man with eyes that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom, smiled gently at the question. He took a moment to observe his disciples, each one eager for his response. He knew that this question touched the very heart of their spiritual practice and that the answer could guide them profoundly. "Ah, a very important question," the master replied, his voice calm and soothing. "Words are like seeds. They have the potential to grow into beautiful flowers or harmful weeds, depending on how they are sown. Just as a single seed can blossom into a mighty tree, a single word can create profound joy or deep sorrow. It can build a bridge between two hearts or erect an unscalable wall." The disciples listened intently, hanging on his every word. Sensing their interest, the master continued, "Think of a time when someone's words deeply affected you, whether positively or negatively. How did it feel? Did those words inspire you or cause you pain?" One disciple, a young woman named Maya, nodded. "I remember a time when a friend encouraged me with words of kindness. It gave me the strength to overcome a difficult challenge," she said softly. Another disciple, a young man named Arun, added, "And I remember when harsh words made me feel small and insignificant, even when I knew they weren't true." The master nodded, acknowledging their experiences. "Exactly. Words have power because they are not just sounds, they carry intention, emotion, and energy. They reflect our inner world and have the ability to shape the outer world. That's why it's crucial to understand how to use our speech wisely. In our teachings, this is referred to as right speech, one of the fundamental principles of ethical conduct. It guides us to speak in ways that promote harmony and understanding, rather than discord and harm." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to sink in. "Today, I will share with you 5 questions that you should ask yourself before speaking. These questions will help you practice right speech and use your words to bring light into the world rather than darkness." The disciples leaned in closer, eager to learn more, as the master began to teach them the profound practice of mindful speech, a lesson that would shape not only their spiritual journey but also their everyday lives. The profound power of words, a deep dive into mindful speech. Words are incredibly powerful, aren't they? Think about it for a moment. Every word we speak has the potential to lift someone up, make them smile, and foster a deeper connection. On the flip side, our words can also hurt, cause misunderstandings, and drive people apart. This dual nature of speech means that how we communicate is crucial in our daily lives. Our words can be tools for creating a more compassionate world or weapons that cause harm. So, how do we choose? In Buddhism, speech isn't just a simple act, it's a significant element of ethical conduct. The Buddha emphasized the importance of right speech as one of the key practices for ethical living. This concept is part of the Noble Eightfold Path, which provides guidelines for cultivating wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. But why place such importance on speech? Because words are not just sounds, they carry energy and intention that can deeply affect both ourselves and others. They reflect our inner world and can shape the outer world. Let's take a journey through the intricacies of mindful speech. By understanding the power and importance of our words, we can learn to use them wisely, fostering positive relationships and creating a more peaceful world. This guide will explore 5 essential questions we should ask ourselves before speaking, questions that can transform not only how we communicate but also how we perceive and interact with the world around us. Understanding the weight of words, before we dive into the specific guidelines, it's essential to recognize why speech holds such a significant place in Buddhist practice. Have you ever stopped to think about why the words we choose matter so much? Our speech is a direct reflection of our thoughts and intentions. It reveals our inner world to others. With our words, we have the power to influence minds, shape perceptions, and even alter the course of events. Consider this: speech is a tool for creating reality. It can either build bridges of understanding between people or create barriers of misunderstanding. Imagine how different our world would be if everyone spoke with mindfulness and compassion. In Buddhist teachings, the significance of speech is evident in its classification as a form of karma. Karma, in this context, refers to actions that have moral implications based on their intention and effect. Because words can lead to both positive and negative outcomes, the ethical quality of our speech is a critical component of our spiritual practice. When we understand this, it becomes clear why we are encouraged to be mindful of our speech, recognizing its potential for both harm and good. The Buddha taught that mindful speech is an expression of wisdom and compassion. By cultivating it, we can lead more peaceful and harmonious lives, not just for ourselves, but for everyone we interact with. The 5 questions to ask before speaking. To use our speech wisely, Buddhism suggests asking ourselves 5 critical questions before we speak. These questions serve as a guide to more mindful and ethical communication, ensuring that our words are both kind and effective. Let's delve into each question and explore how they can help us become more compassionate communicators. 1. Am I speaking at the right time? Timing is everything. Even if what we want to say is true and necessary, the timing of our words can greatly affect their impact. Speaking at the right time is a concept deeply rooted in Buddhist teachings, which emphasize that communication should be timely, considerate, and sensitive to the listener's current emotional and mental state. Have you ever tried to talk to someone who was clearly not ready to listen? Maybe they were upset, distracted, or preoccupied with something else. Even the most well-intentioned advice or feedback might be met with resistance or misunderstanding if it's not delivered at the right moment. This is why it's so important to consider whether we are speaking at the appropriate time. Let's consider some practical examples. Correcting a mistake. Imagine you need to address a mistake made by a colleague at work. If you bring up the issue immediately after the mistake is made, especially if emotions are running high, your words might be perceived as criticism rather than constructive feedback. However, if you wait until a more appropriate moment, perhaps when your colleague is calmer and open to discussion, the same words can be received as helpful guidance, offering support. Suppose a friend is going through a tough time and you want to offer advice. If they are in the midst of expressing their feelings and emotions, interrupting with advice may not be the best approach. It might be more effective to wait until they have fully shared their thoughts and feelings before gently offering your perspective. This shows that you are listening and respecting their emotional process, which can make them more receptive to your words. So, what's the takeaway? Timing in speech requires patience and discernment. It's not just about waiting for the right moment, but also about knowing when silence might be more powerful than words. Sometimes, the most compassionate thing we can do is to wait until the listener is ready to hear what we have to say. This approach reflects a deep respect for the other person's process and an understanding that communication is as much about listening as it is about speaking. 2. Am I speaking truthfully? The value of truth in communication cannot be overstated. Are we being honest with ourselves and with others when we speak? Truthfulness is a fundamental aspect of ethical speech in Buddhism. The Buddha taught that lying and deceit are harmful because they break trust, a vital component of any relationship. Truthful speech builds credibility and reliability, fostering trust and respect in both personal and professional relationships. But being truthful doesn't mean being brutally honest or insensitive. It involves a balance between honesty and compassion. Truthful speech is not just about stating facts, it's about being honest in a way that is kind and considerate. It's about delivering the truth in a manner that is constructive and supportive rather than harmful or damaging. Here are some examples of truthful speech. Constructive feedback. If a friend asks for your opinion on a project they are working on, being truthful means giving your honest feedback. However, it also means framing your feedback in a way that is helpful rather than hurtful. Instead of saying, "This is terrible," you might say, "I think this part could be improved by doing X, Y, and Z. This approach maintains honesty while also being supportive and encouraging. Acknowledging mistakes. Truthfulness also applies to acknowledging our own mistakes. If you've made an error, being truthful means admitting it openly rather than trying to cover it up or shift the blame. This kind of honesty fosters trust and respect and demonstrates integrity and accountability. Why is this so important? Dishonesty, even in small matters, can erode trust over time. When we are caught in a lie, it damages our credibility and can lead to a breakdown in communication. People may become less likely to believe us in the future, even when we are telling the truth. This is why it's so important to practice truthfulness consistently, ensuring that our words are always aligned with our values and intentions. In Buddhist teachings, truthfulness is also linked to wisdom. Speaking the truth requires us to be aware of our motivations and the impact of our words. It encourages us to reflect on whether our speech is motivated by kindness and compassion or by ego and desire for personal gain. By cultivating truthful speech, we develop greater self-awareness and wisdom, both of which are essential for personal growth and spiritual development. 3. Am I speaking gently? The way we speak can have a profound impact on how our words are received. Have you ever noticed how much tone matters? Gentle speech is characterized by kindness, respect, and a non-confrontational tone. It is about choosing words and a tone that are soothing and non-threatening, which can help to open the listener's mind and heart. Speaking gently does not mean being meek or avoiding important issues. It's about addressing matters in a way that is considerate of the other person's feelings and perspectives. It's about finding a balance between honesty and sensitivity, ensuring that our words are both clear and compassionate. Examples of gentle speech include discussing sensitive topics. If you need to discuss a sensitive topic with a loved one, such as a behavioral issue or a past mistake, speaking gently can make a significant difference. Instead of using harsh or accusatory language, you might start with, "I care about you, and I've noticed something that I think we should talk about." This approach shows that you are coming from a place of love and concern rather than judgment or criticism. Encouraging change. When encouraging someone to make a positive change, such as adopting a healthier lifestyle or breaking a bad habit, speaking gently can help the person feel supported rather than pressured. Instead of saying, "You need to change this right now," you could say, "I believe in you, and I think you have the strength to make this change." This way, the listener feels encouraged and empowered rather than criticized or coerced. Why choose gentleness? Harsh or aggressive speech can create barriers to communication. It can cause the listener to become defensive or closed off, reducing the likelihood that they will be receptive to your message. In contrast, gentle speech can help to build trust and openness, making it more likely that the listener will engage in meaningful dialogue. Speaking gently also reflects our inner state of being. When we are calm and at peace with ourselves, it is easier to speak gently and kindly to others. This is why practices such as mindfulness and meditation are so important in Buddhism. They help us cultivate a sense of inner calm and compassion, which naturally extends to our interactions with others. 4. Am I speaking beneficially? Are your words contributing positively to the situation, or are they causing harm? The fourth question is whether our speech is beneficial. In Buddhist teachings, beneficial speech is that which contributes to the well-being and happiness of others. It is speech that uplifts, encourages, and supports growth. Rather than causing harm or distress, beneficial speech involves having a genuine intention to help others. It's about choosing words that encourage positive change, inspire action, and promote understanding and compassion. This type of speech is rooted in love and a desire to see others thrive. Examples of beneficial speech: offering encouragement. Encouragement is a powerful form of beneficial speech. Whether it's a simple compliment, words of affirmation, or expressions of belief in someone's abilities, encouragement can uplift spirits and motivate people to overcome challenges. For example, saying, "I know you can do this, and I'm here to support you," can provide the strength and confidence someone needs to succeed. Providing guidance. beneficial speech also includes providing guidance that helps others navigate difficulties. This could be sharing knowledge, offering advice based on experience, or suggesting resources that might help. For example, if someone is struggling with a decision, you might say, "From my experience, I found that doing X was really helpful. Maybe it could work for you too." Why avoid harmful speech? Harmful speech, on the other hand, includes gossip, slander, and words that cause pain or suffering. Even if the content of what we are saying is true, if it does not benefit the listener or causes unnecessary harm, it should be avoided. Harmful speech can damage relationships, create conflict, and spread negativity. Speaking beneficially requires a deep sense of compassion and empathy. It involves putting ourselves in the listener's shoes and considering how our words will impact them. It requires us to be mindful of our intentions and to speak from a place of love and kindness, rather than from a desire to control, manipulate, or harm. The practice of beneficial speech is an ongoing process that requires mindfulness and self-awareness. It involves continually reflecting on the impact of our words and making adjustments as needed to ensure that our communication is always aligned with our values of kindness, compassion, and understanding. 5. Am I speaking with love and compassion? The final question to consider is whether we are speaking with love and compassion. What are your intentions behind your words? In Buddhism, intention is everything. It is not just the words themselves that matter, but the intention behind them. Speaking with love and compassion means that our words are motivated by a genuine desire to help and support others, rather than by anger, hatred, or selfishness. Compassionate speech involves recognizing the humanity in others and speaking to them in a way that acknowledges their dignity and worth. It's about using words to heal, uplift, and inspire, rather than to wound or degrade. It's about speaking from a place of empathy, understanding that everyone is facing their own challenges and struggles. Examples of compassionate speech: offering forgiveness. One powerful example of compassionate speech is offering forgiveness. When someone has wronged us, choosing to speak words of forgiveness can be incredibly healing for both parties. Instead of holding on to anger or resentment, saying, "I forgive you, and I want to move forward," can help to mend relationships and promote healing. Expressing gratitude. Expressing gratitude is another form of compassionate speech. By taking the time to acknowledge the kindness and efforts of others, we can strengthen bonds and encourage positive behavior. For example, saying, "I really appreciate what you did for me, it meant a lot," shows recognition and gratitude, fostering a sense of connection and goodwill. Why cultivate compassionate speech? Many of us have developed negative speech habits over time, often without realizing it. These habits might include speaking out of anger, frustration, or a desire to control others. Overcoming these habits requires self-reflection and a commitment to cultivating more compassionate and mindful speech. Compassionate speech has the power to transform not only our relationships but also our inner world. When we speak with love and compassion, we create a positive environment that fosters mutual respect, understanding, and cooperation. This, in turn, leads to more meaningful and fulfilling interactions with others. Practicing loving speech involves being mindful of our words and their impact, choosing to speak in ways that promote harmony and understanding. It requires us to cultivate a heart of compassion, always seeking to speak from a place of kindness and empathy. This practice can be challenging, especially when faced with difficult or confrontational situations, but it is ultimately rewarding and deeply transformative. Conclusion. In conclusion, wise speech in Buddhism is about much more than just choosing the right words. It is about cultivating a mindful and compassionate approach to communication. By asking ourselves these 5 questions: am I speaking at the right time? Am I speaking truthfully? Am I speaking gently? Am I speaking beneficially? Am I speaking with love and compassion? We can ensure that our words are aligned with our highest values and intentions. Practicing wise speech requires ongoing mindfulness and self-awareness, as well as a deep commitment to kindness, empathy, and understanding. It involves recognizing the power of our words and taking responsibility for their impact on others. By cultivating these qualities in our speech, we can create more meaningful and harmonious relationships, promote positive change, and contribute to a more compassionate and peaceful world. Ultimately, wise speech is a practice that benefits both ourselves and others. It helps us to communicate more effectively, build stronger connections, and foster a sense of peace and harmony in our lives and the lives of those around us. By committing to this practice, we can make a profound difference in the world, one word at a time. Isn't it amazing to think about the impact we can have just by choosing our words more carefully? Let's take these principles to heart and strive to use our speech as a force for good in the world. Remember, every word counts, so let's make them count for something positive. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm, golden hue across the courtyard, the master finished sharing his teachings on mindful speech. The disciples sat quietly, absorbing his words, reflecting deeply on the lessons of right speech and the 5 guiding questions. The air was filled with a serene silence, punctuated only by the soft rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. After a few moments, the master broke the silence. Now, my dear students, do you see why it's so important to be mindful of our words? Maya nodded thoughtfully. Yes, Master. I understand now that our words are a reflection of our inner state and can have a powerful impact on others. I see that by asking ourselves these 5 questions, we can ensure our speech is always kind, truthful, and beneficial. Arun chimed in, his voice filled with newfound understanding. And by speaking gently and at the right time, we can foster stronger connections and avoid unnecessary conflicts. It's not just about what we say, but how and when we say it. The master smiled, pleased with their reflections. Indeed, you have grasped the essence of my teachings. Remember, the practice of right speech is not just a lesson to be learned once but a daily practice. It requires constant mindfulness and a commitment to compassion. The words you choose to speak, and those you choose not to speak, shape not only your relationships but also your own spiritual growth. A younger disciple, who had been quiet throughout the lesson, hesitantly raised his hand. Master, what if we make a mistake? What if, in a moment of anger or thoughtlessness, we say something that causes harm? The master's eyes softened with compassion. Ah, my dear one, we are all human, and mistakes are part of our journey. What matters is not that we never err, but that we recognize our mistakes and strive to learn from them. If you say something that causes harm, take responsibility. Apologize sincerely and use it as an opportunity to grow. Every mistake is a chance to deepen your understanding and strengthen your practice. The young disciple nodded, relief washing over his face. Thank you, Master. I will remember that. The master rose slowly, and the disciples followed suit, sensing that the lesson was coming to a close. He looked around at each of them, his gaze filled with pride and affection. Remember, my students, words are like arrows. Once released, they cannot be taken back. Choose your words with care, let them be guided by love and wisdom, and you will find that your speech becomes a source of healing and connection in this world. He paused and then added with a twinkle in his eye, and now, let us end this lesson not with words, but with a moment of shared silence, reflecting on all we have learned today. The disciples nodded and closed their eyes, each one turning inward, contemplating the profound wisdom of their master's teachings. The courtyard grew still, the silence deep and meaningful, as they sat together in peaceful meditation, letting the lessons of mindful speech take root in their hearts. As the final rays of sunlight slipped behind the horizon, the master quietly rose, his movements as gentle as his words. Without a sound, he began to walk away, leaving his disciples to their reflections. They watched him go, knowing that the true journey of mindful speech had only just begun, and it was now up to them to carry these teachings into every word they spoke, every day of their lives.